me doing another bonus. This is an Instagram DM from our Milanote. Hey Britt, I'm wondering if you can discuss what order to do things in when launching a business. For example, should setting up your socials be the first priority so that you have grown a community that would be interested in your product before you order your 100 units of stock, then start a Shopify after stock arrives? I feel like I know a general guideline of what, but get caught up in the whens. Thank you so much. Love all your non-gatekeeping knowledge. Shout out to Brooke. This is a message that she has sent to my Big Business Podcast DMs. Brooke, I'm going to answer your question. What order do we do things in when we are wanting to start a business? So let's get this out of the way first. There is no perfect formula for when it comes to starting a business. The way that everyone will start their business, especially if you're doing it yourself, it's all very DIY, you're just ticking off the boxes as you go and everything feels out of order. It's okay to do things that way, and that is exactly how I started Fate. I didn't have a clear plan. I feel like if I was to start Fate now, or if I was just starting my first business now, I would probably do it in a bit more of a structured order because there is so much information out there. You know, you can go on TikTok and probably find a billion TikToks about the correct way to start your e-com store or whatever business it is that you're doing. But when I started, you know, this was nearly 8 years ago now. It was more than 8 years ago when the idea came to life, and small business TikTok just wasn't a thing. There wasn't people creating content about their business. So I was really just winging it. But to put it in a nutshell for you, like you said, there is no perfect formula. But if I was to start a business today, this is the order that I would do things in. So the first thing that I would do is build the brand first. Now, I think when a lot of people go to start a business, they can become very impatient very quickly. We're living in a world where everything is instant, right? We order something on Amazon tonight and it will arrive tomorrow. Order something on the Iconic and it'll be here tomorrow or the day after. Click a button online and we can make things happen in a second. And I think one of the biggest shocks that people will discover when they want to start a business is just how long it takes to actually launch it. Launching a business takes so long, and then growing it into something or sustaining it is even longer. And I think that's kind of what I would want to tell anyone who is stepping into business. I think it's amazing if you have that drive and you have a vision and you have your idea and you're really excited about it and passionate. But my number one piece of advice to anyone out there that's wanting to get into business is be prepared to be in it for the long haul, because this shit takes years. And so if I had this idea that I wanted to, let's say, start a bedding company, let's say that's my business idea. Brooke, I don't know what your business idea is, but let's say it's bedding, okay? The first thing I would do is obviously I would come up with the name and everything. I'd get that registered. I'd contact my accountant and say, hey, I want to set up this new business. You can do it yourself as well, but I have an accountant, so I'd just get him to register the new business. If I was serious enough about the business, I would look into getting the trademark for the business name, and that's a really big thing to do. It might cost you anywhere from $500 to $1,000, so it's a bit of an investment, and even if you don't get the trademark, you still have to pay that amount. And I know when you first start out, your mindset can be super small. So the idea of trademarking just isn't even a thought because you have a small mindset. Therefore, the business in your mind is small and you can't really see into the future. And I know that I was that way when I started Fate. I didn't think, I better trademark this because one day it might turn into a big business, pun intended. And I didn't get the trademark for those first few years of Fate because I didn't take it seriously enough, I guess. I was just a gal going, yeah, I'll try this out and see where it goes. But if you even have an ounce within you that maybe one day your business will turn into something amazing, like I had no idea that fate was going to turn into something amazing, then get that trademark. And then, of course, what I would do is go out and secure my social handles, so Instagram and TikTok, and get your Facebook page set up as well, especially if you're wanting to run ads down the track. And then I would start building a community. And I know this is hard because not everyone wants to do content, but trust me, I know I've done a lot of episodes on this recently. If you can put yourself out there on social media, you just have a massive advantage compared to people who don't want to do it. And what do you do in this scenario where you don't want to be on socials? It would almost be a moment of needing to hire someone that's going to be the face of the brand before you've even started. And I wouldn't advise that. So if you've got it in you and you want to build a community online, the first thing I would do once I'd registered the business and got on my social handles is I would start uploading content to those social handles about me setting up my business, about all the things that I'm doing, just all those little behind the scenes videos. I would just start creating content. And I talk a lot about personal branding here on the pod, and you hear so many people talking about personal brand, personal brand, personal brand. All personal brand is you making content. And I think a lot of people get scared when they hear the terms personal brand because they think that they've got to sit down and tell their life story, or like, I don't want to talk about my life. You don't have to talk about your life. Weirdly enough, like if you actually go and take a look at all the content I post, not much of it is actually about my personal life. It's very much about just what I'm doing today or this week at work or what we're currently working on. And I have so many people say like, I don't want to talk about my life. You don't have to talk about your life. Trust me, you can just talk about what you're doing in your day and you can make it feel personal. And yeah, what I post is personal sometimes, but also it's very just day to day what I'm getting up to. So that's the first thing I would do. And depending on like how quickly you want to launch your business, like you might be in a rush, but if it was me, I would make content online for over a year, even 2 years while I'm working on building my business. And if you're wanting to do business properly, it's going to take you over a year to get it, built to the point of launching. And the advantage of doing this and building a community online is that by the time you have built up that community, then you bring in the products and you have a community that will want to support your business rather than doing all the other things first, like your website, getting all of your stock, getting all the things you need, and then starting social media and going, why haven't I got any sales? I see so many people make TikToks and they say, I launched my business last night and I haven't made any sales. But then I go to their TikTok account and there's 2 videos. And I'm like, no offense, but no wonder you haven't made any sales because you haven't done any community building or marketing in the lead up to it. I think it is disappointing, if you're really passionate and you want to start a business and you put in all the work, all the effort, all the money, you're sampling everything, you get your products right, your website looks amazing, and then you launch and there's no sales. But the reason why there's no sales, even if you have an amazing product that you've worked on for so long, is because you don't have a community. I think a lot of people can get it twisted and think that just because you launch a business, you're going to make sales, but it's so not the truth. The truth is you have to get out there and find that community that you're going to be able to launch your products into. So that's definitely the first thing that I would do. Start posting on socials and document my journey. Do all of those things before you get into the next step, which would then be, like you said in your message to me, ordering your stock. When you know for sure that you have that interest in your business and brand, then place that small order. And Brooke, you said you were just going to order your 100 units. Very smart. My number one piece of advice when it comes to ordering anything for your business, when you've done all your sampling and you've got your product right, order the minimum. A lot of clothing factories especially, the minimum order quantity will be maybe 100 units. And my advice would be always play it safe and order that minimum and hope that you can sell it all. And then maybe on the next order, if there's enough interest and hype, you can go a little bit higher, but always order the minimum. It'll be different for me, for example, where we have like a lot of sizes. So our minimum is a lot higher. But if you're just getting started out, you'll probably be working with a factory that has a MOQ, minimum order quantity, of 100. Always do it that way. Don't make the mistake of like getting a little bit too confident and feeling like you can sell 500 of something, because it takes a lot to sell 500 of something and to get 500 orders. So play it safe, order the minimum, and then you can always order more down the track. Once I ordered that stock, I mean, when it comes to building a Shopify store, it really is something that you can kind of sign up for. And I think you get like a month free with Shopify. I don't know. But with Shopify, it is one of those things that you can just have like ticking away in the background and you can slowly be building it. I guess it just depends like when you feel like you're ready to start paying for your Shopify subscription, because you'll be paying, a monthly fee and you've obviously got that first month free. But I wouldn't jump the gun too quickly with building the website until, you've built a little bit of a community and like your product is almost ready to go into production. Because mind you, while that product is in production, you've then got all that time that you're going to be waiting for it, where you can be like making your website look perfect. So in terms of when to build your Shopify store, if you're using Shopify, it's really up to the individual. I know I played around with mine for ages and it's really fun, like starting a store from scratch and building it all out. So anywhere along those lines of, coming up with the business name, getting everything registered, starting your socials, you can then go ahead and sign up for Shopify or whatever email platform, website hosting platform you're going to use, and just chip away at it. But don't feel like you have to have the website done and dusted before you've ordered the stock, but you absolutely can. There's like no wrong or right with that. And another thing along with your website as well is you're going to want to register your domain name. So for example, ours is fatethelabel.com. Make sure you use like a web hosting service to secure your domain name. So when it comes to starting your Shopify store, you will then link it to your domain. So instead of like fatethelabel.myshopify.com, it's just fatethelabel.com. There's obviously so many other things that you need to do when you start a business, like setting up your business bank account and all the other tiny little things. But Brooke, I feel like you have all of the right ideas and you're simply just stuck on what order to do them in. And I hope that this episode has helped you. There really is no right or wrong way to do it. You can chip away at all of these little tasks in the most random order in the world. And at the end of the day, like if you've got everything written down and you're crossing them off, it doesn't matter what way you get to them in or at. But I think the number one most important thing that I want everyone to take away from this episode is building that community before you launch the business. I can't imagine having to do it the other way around. And I'm very fortunate to be able to say that because, I had my YouTube channel for years from when I was a teenager and I was doing personal branding before I even knew that was a thing. In fact, I saw these like TikTok marketers made this video the other day saying, Brittney Saunders is so smart because of her personal brand. Like she's the queen of personal branding. And I just laughed and thought, I've been doing personal branding before that term was even a thing. Like I would just make YouTube videos about my day. But building that community is everything, because you are so much more likely to have people want to support your business and your products if you've been spending the last 12 to 24 months making organic content across socials rather than, doing all the products and the website and the branding and everything and then launching and then going to TikTok being like, hey, I've got this new bedding range, buy it. Instead, make content about that for a year. And you're going to have to work really, really hard, and you've got to be consistent with it and never give up, never stop. Because the funny thing is, well, it's not really funny, but the reality of it is, once you have done all these things, once you have been building your community online for ages and you've done the website, you've done your sampling, you've placed that bulk order of 100 units, you've got all your packaging, everything, and then you launch, that's when the work actually begins. even though it feels like you've been working your ass off for 2 years to get to that point, the launch, then the work begins, and it literally never ends. So don't lose that momentum even when you've launched. And, if you launch a business and you aren't, getting the sales that you were hoping to, don't be disheartened. Business is tough. It's so tough, especially now, in 2025, where there's businesses everywhere, left, right, and center, and we're spoilt for choice as consumers with where to shop because there's just so many options out there and everyone's starting a small business. But just keep your eye on your why and why you started and why you're so passionate, and continue building that community, and just be willing to be in it for the long run, like I said at the start of this episode. So hopefully that helps. I feel like you kind of already know, Brooke, based on your message. There is no right and wrong way, but the community building is a really important one that I would advise anyone out there to do first before doing everything else. And if any of you have a question that you would like me to answer on the pod, feel free to send me a DM. We collect all of the DMs from my Big Business _podcast Instagram account. I literally have a board with like 1,000 questions that I've got to get to. I'm almost at the point where I'm just going to have to start coming out with a new little bonus episode like this every single week. But that's all for today's bonus, and I'll be back next week with a main episode.